I've been singing since I was a kid. Not great, but I sang in my junior high choir and my high school concert choir. There's show choir in high school, the Roar Central Trojaneers. Also sang in men's glee club, that sort of thing. So I've kind of grown up around singing. I don't do it well, but I guess I'm a good backup. We'd already arranged arranged it with my daughter that I was going to sing them into their first dance at their wedding. And I developed a condition where I started getting very hoarse, and I was losing my voice when I'd speak. I do some instruction in the course of my business, and I would start getting hoarse at the end of that. And then by the end of the evening or the afternoon, I was completely hoarse. I was just down to a whisper. And so I knew something was wrong. Went into the clinic, and they referred me to the head and neck people.
Howard presented, as a lot of people do, with some hoarseness to his voice and concern about his how he was able to speak and communicate, and of course in his case also singing. Patient in his physical examination actually had more things going on than just a problem with his voice. He actually had a nasal obstruction and a mass in the nose that made things a little bit more complicated. His history is pretty much of that, with several months' history of progressive hoarseness and change to his voice.
I knew I was going to have to undergo surgery to get that straightened out, because like I said, I couldn't speak too well at that point, and it was getting worse. So I knew my daughter was getting married in December, and this was in October when they discovered this. So I knew there was only a couple months before I'd have to perform at my daughter's wedding, and I thought if I undergo surgery on my nasal passages and on my vocal cords, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this.
We work with our patients to find out what their goals are, and Howard had a big goal. His goal was to be able to sing at his daughter's wedding, which was not in the very distant future. So it was a tall order, and he was very determined. But of course, our first goal is to restore his voice post-op, and then in addition we had to get his singing voice back. So it was a challenge.
The first person I ran into at Exempla was Dr. Deschard's physician's assistant, and she was the one that first started being positive. She asked me all about what I was doing and the surgery, and I told her, I was going to sing for my daughter's wedding, and it was important that I get this done. And she was the first person, my first contact, who said, well, you know what, we're going to see that you get that done, that you meet that goal. And that became the goal. After his physician's assistant said that, then when Dr. Deschard came in, he said, I heard that you were going to sing at your daughter's wedding. Well, we're going to make that happen. And that was exactly everyone's attitude after that. Everyone was pulling with me, and that was so extraordinary.
A little bit of pressure to get the surgery taken care of and the healing process taken care of. So coordinating speech therapy, surgery, and the timing of the wedding was at his forefront.
A goal of singing at your daughter's wedding is a big challenge, especially post-op. So I had to just remain encouraging and find as many little changes that I could along the way to help Howard make to get to that goal so quickly.
After the initial splints were removed from his nose, he started having more obstruction and more pain in the nose. And so after a phone call in, knowing that there may be something else going on, he actually developed a small septal hematoma in the nose that needed to come in for another operative intervention, but that was something that would be done in the clinic.
So that made it a little more difficult. It was, for me, a hard recovery. Harder than I expected. But I went in and said, I've got a lot of pain with the surgery. And the physician's assistant said, well, you just got nasal surgery. It's like somebody smacking you in the nose. What did you expect? And I thought, well, she's right. I just didn't have the correct expectations. So it's not like it was a shock that I should be in pain on this in this recovery. But it was a challenging recovery.
I wasn't sure that we could meet that goal, Howard's goal, in the time frame that was required. But I knew that we had enough expertise, both myself and my colleague, to help him meet that goal. I just wasn't sure we could actually do it.
I put a lot of stock in what they said and followed them, and I think that's what helped me get back into shape as fast as I did. Is they knew where I was headed, they knew how to get me there, and I followed their roadmap. There's moments in your life where you have to capture a moment, and this was one of them. My daughter wanted this for her wedding, and it's a moment in time that if you miss it, you can't go back and do the wedding again, and she'll never have the chance to do that again. I wouldn't have the chance to perform at that moment in their wedding, in their history, and now it's kind of embedded in their memory. It's part of the history of their marriage, and I can't tell you how wonderful that is, to be able to fulfill a dream for her and myself at the same time. And she grew up knowing I sang, but I didn't sing that much to her. And for me to be able to just sing to my daughter, right after she became a couple with her new husband, is just, I don't think I can describe that, what kind of a feeling that is. And that moment was made possible by all this. I mean, and that's the moment we were all pulling for. We all got together to make this happen, and to see it actually come to fruition, just a wonderful, wonderful thing.